Riot's incompetence never ceases to amaze me. What were they thinking when they made Seraphine's kit? Was there too little or too much cocaine in the office that day? Now don't get me wrong, I think Seraphine is an awesome champion. The way that she was revealed had so much thought put into it, it's almost too on the nose for today's society. She started off as like a random social media account that almost felt like a League of Legends universe ARG, and then she was posting with KDA and started becoming like a real character. So of course she's going to become a champion at some point, and it eventually happened. Now we have a pop star VTuber idol as a champion. Good on Riot. She was introduced really well and actually makes sense as a champion in League of Legends. There's some champions that just kind of appeared, didn't really have that intuitive of kit, and don't really feel like they belong in the game. Illaoi is probably the biggest example. There's also a few others where it's like, can you just delete these guys? They don't really work at all. Like, what's Aatrox doing in League of Legends kind of feel? But this is just Sona. Seraphine is just updated Sona, better Sona. She is so much Sona that my friends thought they were actually deleting Sona from the game and replacing her with Seraphine. Why not just make this the Sona rework? Because Sona absolutely needs a rework, and that's the main point of my video. You know, I actually don't really have a problem with this. If Riot wants to experiment and then have like two champions that kind of almost do the same thing, we almost saw this with like Yone and Yasuo. They're really close, but not quite exactly, and maybe even going back to Darius and Draven back when they were the Blood Brothers and they both had bleed passives, it just kind of interacted in various ways. You know, Draven is the ranged Darius kind of idea. I have no problems with that, but you need to fix the issues that got you in this place, and that's why I'm calling it incompetence. Sona is incredibly problematic, and that's one thing I want to kind of go over in this video because I am an old school Sona main. This is me back in 2013 playing Sona mid and slapping with it. So that's why this is the reason why Sona had to be nerfed so much, because she could be taken into solo lanes and was also incredibly oppressive just in duo lanes. Like, if she gets the right combo, it's over, and she also has just the safest, most free harass and low skill cap entry, because you don't even have to target anything. Sona is like the second lowest skill cap in the game behind Yuumi now, because Yuumi just made an AFK champion that tethers into someone. So I mean, even after Yuumi, which also just has a better Sona ult, what's going on here? And then Sona has been nerfed so much, her stats don't even make sense. Like, Sona doesn't even exist as a champion anymore because her stats are so low. But instead of fixing Sona, let's just invalidate her by making a new champion. And as if that isn't bad enough, Riot isn't even acknowledging this. I think people should try her out before judging too much from an ability breakdown video. You know, people are just saying, all I see is Sona 2.0. Many people had similar reactions to Lilia, Yone, and Samira, but once you play those champs, they feel very unique and different. Well, that's because of power creep. Samira is just AD Katarina until they just gut her kit. Akali's rework had her Q heal her, and then they had to get rid of that. Like, there's so many extra power creepy little things that have been tagged on to new champion kits that just need to be removed because it was unnecessary to be there to begin with. Yone is so unbalanced, it can't even be played at Worlds, and Lilia, I guess, but it's not like super Hecarim because of the global sleep and the other passive stuff. So I mean, it's kind of similar, but I mean, we've seen similar abilities on champions before. This is a complete theft of Sona. I have played plenty of Sona, and I've also played a ton of Seraphine internally. I don't think she feels anything like Sona to play in the game. For one, she is very skill shot reliant champion, which feels way different than Sona. And I think that makes it worse, because Riot has a problem with the new champions being absolutely busted on release, or just being so overtuned that you really can't keep up with any older champions that need a rework or something that was like made back in the beta days or season 1 or something. So they're like, oh, she has skill shots, she has a higher skill cap, therefore it's okay if we overtune her because, you know, there's a chance that these abilities can miss. So if you miss like a Seraphine Q but land two Sona Qs, that's just more balanced or something. Whereas I see this, I don't even know, like, she has a supportive kit, but she works with other supports. Is she supposed to be a solo laner that can burst people as a support, or just be a better Sona? Like, we've also seen these problems with champions like Zoe. Zoe comes out and they're like, well, she has a weirder Nidalee Q. You have to hit the Nidalee Q button twice to do more damage than the Nidalee Q in a larger radius. Therefore, it's okay. You can also get caught out if you use your ultimate wrong. So she's a vulnerable champ. She has no escape tools, you know, so therefore it's okay if she can put people to sleep and one-shot them with 2 abilities. It feels like they're doing the same thing with Seraphine. It's like, well, her abilities interact differently than Sona, and they're all skill shots, therefore she's allowed to be okay. And like, this is also kind of what happened with Lee Sin back in the day. Lee Sin had an almost infinitely high skill ceiling compared to like archaic older League of Legends, and then Insect came out and just like rewrote how this champion works. Or same thing with Thresh and Mad Life. Like, people didn't, in Mata as well, but it's like people didn't really know how to use these champions to the fullest abilities back then, so then they just need progressively more and more and more nerfs as like the high end level of play got absurd on it. And I see that happening with Seraphine. It's like, yeah, just because Sona's easy means you have to gut a lot of power out of her because Bronzies can't handle the poke. Even though Sona is like the squishiest champion in the game, or like 3rd squishiest behind a Nivea and maybe Yumi or something. So it's like, you make something impressive, and then that's the lack of counterplay. But then you introduce something that truly has no counterplay, like Zoe, or something so incredibly over-designed that you need to remake the entire UI of the game for Aphelios, and then it's justified. And then there's this garbage. This leads you to having to think about which order to use your spells in to get different effects, and it gets you into musical 1, 2, 3, 4 rhythm when you play her that feels really different to any other champion. This dude's lying. I don't think he's played Sona, or at least he never played old Sona, because old Sona used to have the same cooldown for all of her basic abilities, and then depending on the cooldown reduction, you were literally in a musical rhythm, and then trying to balance that with optimal ability usage, and then swinging in the correct power chord, because you would go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Q, 2, 1, W, E, 2, Q, power chord, 1, 2, W, E. You know, it'd be something like that. And even now, it's actually maybe more musical with current Sona because her cooldowns are all over the place now. You know, now it's 8, 7, 6, 4, 2, and her cooldowns don't scale down with leveling up. It's all based on crescendo. I don't remember how much that was with old Sona. I thought she just had like a flat 7 on everything, so she scaled really well with cooldown reduction or something. But now we have like Song of Celerity, 7.2. 6 on the Aria of Perseverance, and then 4.8. So they've also like ruined the old timing of Sona to where, you know, if you had like 40% on a 7, I guess it kind of creates like some weird digits at the end, but you would have to count. But like I said, even now, like you still have to time it because now you're dealing with, you know, a 5-time rhythm, or let's say we have some cooldown reduction. So you're casting Hymn of Valor every 3 seconds. You're casting Aria of Perseverance every 4 seconds. You're casting Song of Celerity every 5 seconds. That's beat management, yo. That is actually really cool. And then you have to remember, it's like, okay, my Perseverance is coming up. Do I want to do more damage, or do I need to stack this to make sure I get the damage reduction so I don't get bursted, or my support, or like the person I'm supporting doesn't get bursted? So again, you're doing 1, 2, 3, Q, E, W, power chord, Q, 1, 2, E, 1, 2, Q, W, power chord. They actually ripped off Sona. And the reasoning they gave to claim that it's not ripping off Sona just proves that they ripped off Sona even more. Wow. So I think this is Riot just being stubborn. I feel like they could have just kind of maybe gone the Echo Fighter route or tie this in with Sona for her launch in some way. Because now it just feels like Sona is being completely upstaged. Pun intended. What's the point? That champion doesn't exist unless you actually play like a Seraphine Sona bot lane and then just do some really jank overtuned stuff inside the game, because Sona still has some power, but again, she's just been completely gutted to where if you want kind of like an AP mage, you're better off using Zyra. Your heals don't matter if they're just dying instantly. So the stubbornness and refusal to acknowledge the past or accept mistakes, I feel is very visible in Ahri. Ahri, she was super busted with DFG. A lot of champions were. DFG was an amazing item. And I think it's still like a lot of people are just calling, you know, no counterplay, completely unfair. I really miss DFG, and I think a lot of other mage players do as well. But I can see why it was removed. Well, when that was removed, what they did was they gave a damage amp on Ahri's charm. But to compensate for that damage amp, they had to nerf pretty much all of her other abilities. Then they said the damage amp was too much on Ari, but they didn't compensate her buffing her back to where she was. So it was just like she was a weaker Ari than after DFG was removed for no reason, because Riot forgets about the things they do because they're so caught up on the new champion or whoever the flavor of their month is or whoever they really like, instead of actually trying to balance the game properly. We also see this with Omnistone. Omnistone is called Prototype Omnistone still. There was a lot of like dev posts and stuff talking about like the new preseason changes. They're like, oh, if Omnistone doesn't work out, we'll maybe bring back Klepto or we'll introduce a new keystone to try out. And then it lasted an entire season of something called a prototype. So we had a beta feature just stuck, doing nothing for a year, because like Omnistone usage is probably like 1 in 10,000, if that, on maybe 4 champions or something. So Omnistone is just a completely useless beta gameplay feature that Riot just forgot about, but it's in a full-fledged game like League of Legends. They have no idea what they're doing. And that's also why I want to like tie this into fixing Sona first, because Sona is such a shadow of her former self. The amount of damage that Sona used to do in like one round of abilities, probably double. Just going off of like what I vaguely remember, because you can go to like background, you can see patch notes, but there isn't like, oh, what were the exact abilities and stats and kit that Sona had back in season 3, this patch or something, you know, when like Sona was doing all these crazy things. So I don't remember the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure Sona's half the damage. And it's just gotten that way over time. So the reverse power creep is very noticeable, but Sona is also just way underpowered because Bronzies can't handle the poke, like I said. And that's why I want to turn it back to some of the old school Sona gameplay so you can kind of see how crazy this champion could be with that old school damage. Like, pardon the quality, but this, like, if we're talking about beta features, this is beta Verlisify. This was back in 2013 before I started uploading Pokemon, and I did pretty much only League of Legends and Minecraft content. But, I mean, the gameplay was you Q-poke for a lot more damage, and then you just save up power cord, and then you could actually just, like, do half of someone's health and just, like, combo them. That was me killing Rise without ult, but there are stages in the game, like, when you get boots plus 1 item, like, when you start getting some ability power into Sona, you hit, like, 1 Q, and then you can kill them on your next Q, power cord, ult, ignite, auto attack Q, and they're gone. Here's some Sona top gameplay versus Kennen. And that's how Sona used to go. And people probably have a problem with that even today. But again, it's like some champions like Renekton can do 80% of your health inside the duration that you're stunned with him. So I mean, there's a lot of problems. I mean, this is just where Sona used to be in compared to how much damage she has now. Like, you look at this, got 40 base damage, 40% AP scaling, caps at 160. She used to have 250 base damage at max rank and 70% AP ratio. I think that's what the numbers were. Again, it's kind of like hard to figure out the exact numbers that we had, because you kind of have to like see the changes. And also you got bonus AP because she used to just sit on a passive and then you would get those stats. So you get a little bit of extra AP to enhance those damages. And as you can see, like the nerfs started coming in around the time that I was making these videos. AP ratio reduced from 70% to 58%. So they just stripped that and then put it onto your power cord. But power cord, you don't get that every time you Q. So you're actually losing an average, you know, like 10% AP or even more than that per cast. But it's kind of crazy to think about a 70% AP ratio with 250 base that can hit 2 opponents from pretty long range without having to target them. Like, and it also has no cast time. That's also what makes Sona busted. She can walk around and cast abilities. So you can get into someone's range, cast, and get out before they're actually able to click on you. Like, that was actually why the Rise matchup was so cool. So I think Rise's, like, old Q, when it was just a click to hit, and Sona's Q were at the same range, but you could actually just kind of play around it to where he couldn't really react to it. Again, pretty strong, but just kind of showing the problems that we've seen develop with Sona. And then there was the rework. So yeah, base damage reduced 40, 80, 120, 160, 200 from 50 to 250. And this is also when they changed it to augment the basic attack. So in theory, you do more damage because we have 200 plus 60 plus 25% if you get the auto inside of it. but they also reduced the damage on power chord. So her burst went way down. Damage reduced from 50% to 100%. Now it says 40% bonus magic damage. So there was another nerf inside of that. On-hit AP damage was reduced as well. Her overall AP scaling was reduced as well because now it's only 40% AP instead of 50% AP. So this is where I feel like it's like half the damage. Also, the base damage used to be a lot higher because there's power chord, 40% bonus magic damage. It used to be this, but double. So you had like I think it might have been like 25% or 30% AP on the power chord. So you're getting like a 60% AP, 400, 500 base damage auto attack. On top of the Hymn of Valor that also had 70% scaling and 90 more damage. If you hit someone with Q again, Q power chord ult ignite, they died. And yeah, I guess that might have been problematic, especially when you consider that down the bot lane. If you ult both the AD carry and the support, you could burst nuke out the support so they can't really help the AD carry or like blow a ton of summoners, and then you can effectively like hold 2v1 with a kill, still have a lot of health while they're stunned, and then whatever your AD carry wants to do, they get free reign. They can tag in a little extra damage, just kind of insta-gib the support, and then it's a 2v1 against the AD carry instantly, and you're still Sona with kind of crazy Hymn of Valor. You mash all of your other buttons, you get another power chord, and then that's an easy double kill. So, why is that not okay? But this is okay. To where she gets to do all kinds of weird things. She gets to double cast. So, you know, every third basic ability, Seraphine cast will echo, automatically casting a second time. Well, it also sounds like if you have experience with Sona and managing power chords, you're going to just be better at this champion from Sona experience. Which kind of makes her seem a little similar to Sona. And then this, projects a pure note, dealing magic damage increased by the target's missing health percentage. So you get 2 of those. And then she has more CC than Sona, because Sona, you have to give up half of your damage, or at least, you know, when power chord did double damage, you'd have to give up half of your damage to slow the opponent with a power chord. Instead, you get a free ability to slow that deals damage. So you now have 2 damaging abilities compared to Sona's 1 damaging ability, that, you know, non-ultimate, and then they can be slowed, rooted, or stunned. And then she gets to extend the range on her ult. So it's a longer Sona ult that charms and then gives everyone the Sona Q basic attack passive through the note interaction on her passive. But it's okay, guys, because this isn't Sona and it's skill shots. So I hope I made sense, guys, and I hope I was able to bring something to the discussion that other people might have forgot about or maybe aren't bringing. Again, I have no problem with Seraphine as a champion. I have no problem if they want to make Echo Fighters as a champion. But the problem is when you forget about the problems that you've created in the past. When you have to remove half the damage from a champion and then bury that champion and forget about it just to replace it with a new champion that's kind of culturally relevant, and then getting an ultimate skin that looks like she's going to be overtuned like the last dozen champion releases. That's a problem. That feels unacceptable, and then pretending like nothing is happening. Okay, so yeah, this whole thing is hot garbage. If you end up enjoying the video, don't forget to leave a like, share with your friends. If this gets like momentum on Twitter, I think that would make it pretty big. So if everyone that watched this and enjoyed the video shared it, I think we could actually have like a really cool discussion about what's going on in League of Legends, because I love the game. I'm looking forward to the preseason update. I think the item changes are interesting, compelling, and might actually fix a lot of the problems in League of Legends. But then I see things like this, and I'm just like, Riot, stop getting high off your own farts. I know you're trying to double dip because you take the cocaine, it goes through your system, and you try to get that second hit, but come on. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.